Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be another book review. So I believe I left off in May. So today's video is just going to be the books that I read in June and July. So I kind of still been like in a reading slump. I hit my Goodreads goal in I think August, and I haven't picked up a book since. It's not the summertime anymore. It's actually snowing right now, so that's why I got fall vibes going on and I'm looking like this. I've been trying to get out of the reading slump. I believe I'm gonna do like a 24-hour reading challenge where I get like 5 books to see if I can complete it in 24 hours. I'm low-key thinking of doing that today because I really don't have nothing to do today nor tomorrow. But anywho, I'm gonna get into the books that I read in June and July. So the first book I ended up reading in June was called Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. Now let's tell you about the book. So this book has to do with like 2 girls book the guy's boat to go to like this island where anybody who goes there, they end up missing. People are in an agreement to take these 2 people to the island. Now when they get to the island, it's like another couple there, and you kind of just see things transpire from there. Now initially when I first started reading this book, I was really thinking this was going to be a 5-star read for me. People rave about it all the time, and I thought it was going to give what it was supposed to give. But for me, what went wrong with this book was that they were kind of setting a tone where the island itself was supposed to be like eerie or a mysterious thing, and it actually didn't turn out to be in that. Like me, when I was reading it at first, I thought I was gonna get more so like Lost, that TV series, and it wasn't nothing like that at all. It was just like the twist had to do with the people and not actually the island, and I felt like that was weird. It was like, how are you trying to put this island inside the book and then don't even use it till its full ability? So for me personally, I was reading it, I got 80% in, and I wanted to DNF it, but I didn't end up doing that because I'm like, I've already made it this far, I might as well keep reading it. So I ended up just giving that book 3 stars because it had potential. I think I messed it up for myself. Now the book I ended up reading was called The Reunion. This is, I believe, my second book that I've read from this author, and I kind of really love this author. Like her twist to me personally, just they get you. Like I don't see it coming, or like you expect it to go one way and she kind of do a whole 360 and flip it around. Now this book has to deal with this woman who is a successful author, and something happened to her when she was in high school, and now she's heading back to her high school reunion. Once she's at the reunion, things start to unfold about what happened when she was in high school, and she did end up losing a friend, and it's surrounded by her death. Now some things did kind of get a bit predictable at some parts, but not the entire book. Like the twist when it gets there, it was like shocked of who the person actually was, of what was going on. So that's why me personally, I gave this book 4 stars, and I definitely will continue to read books by this author because she really, them twists, she hands down, she do a great job. Like she really do. So the next book I ended up listening to as an audiobook, which was the Kingdom of the Wicked series. Now with that, I do have a reading vlog with that. I don't know if it's up yet or not, and I was raving about how I really loved it as an audiobook. Like I felt like the audiobook brought the story to life. But as you can see throughout the vlog, listening to an audiobook just wasn't for me personally. I feel like it was a lot of stuff that I missed or could not fully pay attention to. That book is, well, that whole series, because I listened to the second book too as well as the audiobook, made me realize like I can't listen to fantasy as audiobooks because it's just too much going on. Like you got the world, you got the characters, you got the storyline, and I feel like it's so much going on that if you stop and don't pay attention to what's like, you can't listen to fantasy books and like wash dishes or something, because you look up, you in chapter 5 and you like, somebody died? When that happened? Like what's going on? Kingdom of the Wicked follows these 2 witches who are twin sisters. One of the witch ends up passing away, and her twin is kind of trying to figure out like what happened, like why was she murdered? I said passing away, well, she was killed, and her twin is trying to figure out like why they murdered her, like what's going on and what was she getting into, and is it all tied into why she was murdered. And so this book is kind of like a steamy romance. That part kind of caught me off guard, especially like listening to it as an audiobook, because I'm like, I'm in the gym and the spice scene is coming and I'm just like, what, like I didn't expect, like I just thought this was like a magical book that had to do with witches and also has to do with demons. So I kind of thought that's where it was going, and we kind of see like the romance between one of the twins and one of the demons of hell. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It wasn't bad. I just feel like I wish I would have read the series instead of listening to it, because I feel like I would have been able to get more in tune with the characters and the whole storyline and just read it at a better pace for myself. The book I ended up reading was Inevitable Encounters by Nikki Grace. Now this is another author that I've been reading this year. I've read her Love is Salty, that series, and I like that series, so I thought I'd give this book a try. This book basically deals with like the middle-aged woman who is kind of lacking in her love department, and she's kind of tired of giving people a try when it comes to relationships. Very realistic, you know what I'm saying? And so one day she ends up getting attacked, and this mystery man saves her from being, you know, being a victim of an assault. Now this same mystery man ends up being the contractor who's working on the house next door to her, and things transpire from there. Me personally, I don't even know why I only gave this book 4 stars, but I love the romance in this story. Like, it was very sweet. Like, I love romances when the male character is just so easy to fall in love with yourself. Like, he is a picture perfect man that you would want for yourself, and just how he handled her, like past traumas and stuff like that. So me, it was like very cute, and I think it's another book I would pick it up, definitely, because I just really love the male character and his dynamic and how their relationship went about. I give the relationship 5 stars. Since I'm trying to be a picky rater, I'm gonna only give the book 4 stars. The next book I ended up reading was called Heal Thyself by Queen A. I don't know how to say her name. Somebody just told me how to pronounce it too, and I just keep forgetting on how to do that. But this is just basically her book on how to heal yourself internally, externally, like just how to diet, how to fast, how to put your body in the state for healing. It was overall a great book. I ended up only giving it 4 stars though. I ended up reading it through Kindle Unlimited, but I did want to purchase this book, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because I just feel like her books sometimes be a little too pricey for the material and concept that is in her books. Now some of them do be like, yes, 5-star reads, but this book in particular, I felt like it wasn't nothing new that I've heard before. It was certain things that I did appreciate with her book though. One thing that I did learn from her book was that, like, when you are fasting and when you're detoxing, you kind of don't want to tell people why you're doing it, and you want to keep that to yourself private, because you don't want any energy interfering with your healing process. And that's one thing that I kind of didn't do when I was doing my fasting or my healing. I was kind of telling people what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And I kind of see why she says that, because I was trying to, when I was doing it, I was kind of just trying to make people aware of, this is something I'm doing, I'm changing my eating. But you do have certain people, I ain't gonna say no names, point no fingers at nobody, that kind of put their opinion in what you're doing and try to throw you off. And it's just like, let me be, I know what I'm doing, just give me time. You gonna see the effects eventually, just wait on it, okay? But that's one thing that I really learned from that book. I would definitely pick it up and read it if you want to get into her series and books. I think I would like her other book that I'm gonna show y'all in my book haul, which is the Healing the Angry Vagina book, better than anything I ended up reading. Was like another wellness book. It is called Overcoming Narcissistic Relationships as an Empath, and I gave this book 5 stars. Now, reading this book, it was so triggering. Like, if I would have read this book at a different time in my life, I feel like it would have prevented me from going through a lot of things that I went through in my younger years. Like, I'm still young, but I feel like them years when I really ain't know nothing, it really would have stopped me from going through half the stuff that I went through. And this book just helped me to understand why I attract narcissistic people and how to handle them, okay? Because this book, 5 stars, that's what I'm gonna say. It's gonna let you know how to prevent, like, cut them energies from keep coming to you, why you attracted, because sometimes you just got the light that attract them narcissists. And overall, it was a great book. I was so satisfied reading this book. I think I read it in a day because I'm like, wow. And this one book, this book helped me to realize I wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? This book was kind of triggering with healing for me, because it was just like, it made me realize, like, nah, it wasn't me. I'm not crazy, because narcissistic people really try to make you feel like you're crazy or you don't know what you're talking about, or you see something that's going on and they still trying to play games, and it's like, nah. And it make you also realize anybody can be a narcissist. And that's all I'm gonna say there. But the next book I ended up reading is called Real Estate Millionaire: How to Buy Your First Rental Property, I believe. And I gave that book 4 stars. Now, when I was going through the books to see what books I read in the month, I have like 61 highlights in this book. But what did I learn? I don't know. I don't know what I learned. I gave it 4 stars, so I feel like it got some knowledge in there that make you want to read it. But I think it got to be a reread, because usually when I read books, I retain a lot of the books. Like, I'm just reading, like, I'm looking at the name on this piece of paper that I got here of the books that I read, and I'm recalling most of this knowledge, like, of what I've learned. With that book, I don't know what I learned, to be honest with you. And I feel like with real estate, that's some stuff I just gotta, real estate is harder than what you think it is. And people make real estate seem so easy. And it is, but it's a lot of retention. And sometimes them facts do not be retained in my head. So I'm either have to pick that book up or pick up another book that has to do with real estate, because I don't know. I gave it 4 stars, so. So the next book I ended up reading is the second book in the Kingdom of the Wicked, which is the Kingdom of the Curse. And I'm giving that book 4 stars too. Reading the second book is when I realized, like, I'd rather have read this instead of listening to it as an audiobook. The second book just expands on what's going on, or why her twin was getting involved in certain things. And it also expands on Raph and the twin that's still alive relationship, because they're kind of in like a, I don't know what they call it, like a forbidden relationship. Like, witches aren't supposed to be attracted to demons, demons aren't supposed to be attracted to witches, but they still have this very intense connection that they can't seem to break, but they don't want to act on it. You end up seeing that develop during this book. Now, I'm trying to recall how it ended. I remember listening to it while I was at the store, and I had to like go back some and keep hearing like the ending of the second book, because I'm honestly confused, and I think I'm still confused, and I gotta pick the book up and read the third one. And the third book did just recently come out. I saw it in Target. I thought of just buying all 3 books and then rereading the series that way, because I wouldn't mind reading it again, and it's something I missed, and that's why I realized I'd rather just have read it before I go into the third book. Now, the last book I ended up reading in June is called Psychic Empath Abilities. I gave it 3 stars. Now, with this book, I feel like I really can't remember much about it either, but I do remember that it was a lot of information that was redundant in the book. I don't know if I'm tapped out with spirituality books. You can never be tapped out, because I feel like people can hit you in a way where they say stuff and it just smack you a little bit different for you to know something. So I just feel like this book wasn't for me, but I feel like for somebody else it would be a good read, and it might actually impact them. And that's why I only gave it 3 stars, because it didn't really change my perspective on anything or give me insights on something new. Don't quote me, because I think that's how I was feeling reading the book. It's a few months past since me reading it, and I can't really recall, so we're gonna leave that alone. That was all the books I ended up reading in June. That was 7 books. Now, July, I only read a few books. Like, this is when my reading slump started to hit, and I only read 4 books in July. We're still gonna clap for it, because at least I read a book, right? The first book I ended up reading in July was called The New Husband. Now, when I was reading this book, I was reading through Libby, and I still do that thing where I wait to the last minute to read a book. And I think it was like the day of or the day before I started reading the book, and I really got in tune to it. And I was like 90 or 80% into the book, and it got sent back to the library. So I had to actually physically go to the library. And I think I had like an hour left in the audiobook, and I had to physically go to the library to get the book just so I could finish the story, because it was gonna have to go back on hold, and it was gonna give me another 2 weeks before I could finish the story. But I was so irritated with the book that I didn't want to wait the 2 weeks. So this book basically has to deal with this woman, the new husband. It's in the title, right? So this woman's husband ends up going missing, and it's 3 years later, and she's starting to venture out and get a new husband basically. But it was so many things wrong with this book personally. The plot or the twist is dropped in the very beginning of this book, so you already know what's going on the whole entire time you're reading the book. There's nothing really new uncovered. You're just trying to figure out what happened to her husband, like how did he go missing. And it was just like, the only time, me personally, I feel like it is okay to drop that big of a bomb in the beginning of the book is if it was the murderer and we trying to figure out if they're gonna figure out if he the murderer or not. And it wasn't done, and if it's through the murderer's perspective. You know what I'm saying? No, it wasn't that. Like, it was so many hints being dropped throughout the book that you already knew what was going on. Like, even when it was like it finally got to the big, okay, this was going on, we as readers already knew if you can pick up on context clues and hints. And then it also, one thing that I was like really rubbing me the wrong way was that it was honestly, I don't even know if it was a full 3 years, but the woman ended up moving her and her kids in with her new husband, and it was just like the time frame was too small for me personally for you to be moving your kids in with a mystery man. And it was just like, why would you even do that? Like, why would you have this man around your kids? Like, that didn't make sense to me as reading it. So it was just, I didn't really like the book. I still gave it 3 stars, and now that I'm sitting here ranting about it, I think it's like a 2.5, because you know what was going on the whole time. Like, you honestly, it was not like a twist or nothing. Like, you knew. The next book I ended up reading is just like a self-love workbook for women, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. Now, I read this as an ebook and it's a workbook, so that's probably why I did not really vibe with it as much as I wanted to. Yes, I gave a good 4 stars because there is a lot of stuff in this book that could potentially help somebody. But for me personally, it was very small and short. I thought the book was going to be like real longer, and I only think it was like 100 pages. So for me personally, I just wasn't vibing with it. But I still read it, and I gave 4 stars because I feel like the stuff in it will eventually help somebody. You know what I mean? This book, no judge zone, right? No judge zone. The next book I end up reading is, I was gonna say The Womb. No, it's called Womb by I don't know who, but yes, it's the Womb book. That is a psychological thriller, or very disturbing. Now, this is one of the books that did get recommended to me when I was venturing out and trying to find like a whole bunch of disturbing books, because I thought it would be cool, I don't know why, to traumatize myself and then rate all these disturbing books. But after reading this book, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. So I'm just go ahead and tell y'all. And I don't think I rated it, but right next to it, right on this piece of paper, it said 3 stars. I did not give this book 3 stars. Like, this book, now, me personally, I can handle disturbing stuff. Like, if we're watching TV shows, if we watching movies, I'm not really the person who gets to pick them, because most of the time people don't want to watch what I watch. So I'm just trying to say I can handle a lot of stuff. With Womb, it was very disturbing, but it also didn't have a storyline. It was just like a lot of disturbing sexualized things for no reason. And yes, when we get to the end of the book, it is like, what? Like, that's what's going on? What? Like, I can't even say what happened. But if you read it and y'all know what he's talking about, when we in the end of the book and he with the girl and he do that thing because he just want to rebirth himself. I said, what am I reading? Why am I reading this? wrote this? Like, why would you do that to anybody? And people are saying this is a good book. Now, me personally, I've read Dead Inside. That take the cake of any disturbing book so far that I've read, just to let y'all know. But with that one, the way the story was written and how the author did it, he still get his props. The way this author did this book, it was just like, just random disturbing things thrown together. Like, yes, it all had a point, but it was just like, while you reading it was just like, why am I reading this? Like, why? Honestly, why am I doing this to myself? The last book that I ended up reading in July is called The Wife Upstairs. Now, this book has to deal with this, a lot of husband and wife things. I don't know why. The Wife Upstairs has to deal with this husband's wife goes missing, right? And he ends up starting this relationship with this new girl, and they kind of moving quickly, I guess. Like, she's moved into the house and she's trying to make the house hers in like a very small town, so she's still very much having to deal with the fact that his wife is gone and she's missing. Now, I'm trying to remember this book. So I know the new woman has to deal with like the wife and how like Town is much still very invested in his first wife and how she disappeared, because I think her and somebody disappeared at the same time and the bodies were never recovered. They don't know what happened with them, and she's still trying to figure things out. And it's weird because like the new girl has like a past, the husband is giving weird vibes, and the title is Where the Wife Is At. Okay, so that really wasn't a surprise, but we trying to figure out like why the wife is upstairs and hidden like that, what really is going on. And yeah, this one, I don't know why I only gave it 3 stars, because now that I'm remembering what happened, it's like a 3.5. I'm just a tough rater sometimes, like especially with reading like a lot of psychological thrillers. I'm starting to realize like you really need to hit me with something great for you to get 5 stars. And I don't even know why I just don't give people 4 stars. I just be like, nah, you get 3. But anywho, so far that was my summer reads. I was gonna do August, but for some odd reason, these videos come out like too long for my liking. I rather have shorter books. I said shorter books. I rather have shorter videos than like 30-minute long videos, especially me getting new to booktube. I don't really know how people feel about my videos being 30 minutes. I mean, so you let me know. But stay tuned to see all the books that I've read in August, September, and October.